Doctors, nurses of Reddit, what is the funniest ER story you have? Okay, I can finally contribute a story. I promise that this is 100% true because I was there and it happened to me. P.S. I'm a radiographer, not a nurse or doctor. It was about 2 a.m. on a Friday night. I was working alone that night and because it was so quiet I was sitting in the nurse's station up in AE. In a very rare circumstance for the NHS, the AE was almost completely empty, although this changed about 30 minutes after all this was over. So sitting up at the nurse's station in comes a young 18-year-old guy on a trolley screaming and shouting, breaking the peace. He's covered in blood and there's his girlfriend shouting at him and nurses trying to calm him down. His arm is absolutely soaked in blood. Eventually they calm him down, sort of clean him up, and the doctor talks to him. Doctor. So what happened? Pratt. I punched a window. Girlfriend. The glass shattered and has cut his arm. Judging by the amount of blood, this was an understatement. Doctor. So what have you had tonight? Pratt. 6 Stellas, 4 vodka Red Bulls, 2 bottles of wine, 2 tabs of speed, 3 Jaeger bombs, 4 vodka and cokes, 2 joints, a bottle of Jack Daniels and another 6 Stellas. I'm not making this up. I'm sitting over at the station wondering how this guy is still alive. Doctor. Okay, we're going to do some x-rays and see what's up. Pratt. Nah doc, nah. Get me out of here. I've got to go to work. Doctor. No, you need to get your arm looked at. Pratt. Nah doc. Get me out. It's money in me pocket. Doctor. No, you need to go to x-ray. Girlfriend. Yeah, we're going to get the x-ray. This continued on for 10 minutes until eventually he comes down to my x-ray department and me to take a look at his arm. Pratt. Come on mate. Get me out of here. Get me out. Ninja. Keep still whilst I take 2 pictures. Radius and ulna views. Pratt. Come on mate. I've got to go to work. Get me out. Ninja. Keep still. Pratt. Come on mate, hurry up. Here, what's your name? I don't answer. Pratt. Is it Luke? I don't answer, trying to get everything positioned. Pratt. Luke, get me out of here mate. Get me out. I don't know where Luke came from cause that's not my name. Ninja. Keep still. 40 minutes later, it should have been 5 mims max, I take him back to the DR and nurse. What he's done is severed the tendons to fingers 3, 4 and 5 on his right hand and damaged 1 and 2. He can barely move those 2 fingers, the others don't do anything. There's also a big amount of flesh missing from his forearm. I tell the DR all this and he agrees with me, and Pratt needs to see the plastic surgeon first thing in the morning. He goes over to tell him. Doctor. You need to see the plastic surgeon. Pratt. Nah mate, nah. I've got to work. It's money in me pocket. Doctor. No, you need to see. Pratt. Nah mate, nah. I've need me money. I've got to work. Sister comes over. Sister. You need to see the plastic. Pratt. Nah love, nah. It's money in me pocket, I've got to work. I'm at the nurse's station enjoying the show, trying and failing not to laugh. Pratt spots me and calls me over to help him. Pratt. Luke, help us out mate. Doctor and sister both look at me for help, so I go over. Ninja. Look, you have to see the DR in the morn. Pratt. Nah mate, nah. I've got to. Ninja. Hold on. If you don't see the plastic surgeon first thing in the morning, you'll never wank again. He pauses and looks at the doctor and nurse. Doctor and sister. Hess right. Pratt turned up at the plastic surgeon's office at 7 a.m. last I heard. Not a doctor or nurse but a firefighter. Got a call and the guy was died sitting on his couch. We're all hanging around waiting for the me to show up, and one of the guys I'm working with, an old salty firefighter, gets tired of standing around, so he sits down on the couch next to the body. An EMT walks in to tell us that a family member just showed up. The guy on the couch slaps the body on the shoulder and says, "Hey, people here to see you." I was working in triage where we check patients, and when a mid-30s woman came up trying to explain her symptoms, she kind of leaned over and whispers, "I got dem Skittles down there. You know? I had sex with a guy and got dem Skittles." As I'm trying to see if she's serious, trying not to laugh, she says she has to go to the bathroom. I'm boggled and just more or less like, what the fuck does that even mean? Skittles in her, never mind. My coworker came up to me to relay something. Well, Skittles lady came back from the bathroom and said, "Never mind, don't have to worry about dem Skittles, they gone." And she walked out of the ER, leaving me there while I'm trying not to bust out laughing. My coworker looked horrified. Another day in triage.
I was triaging a patient and going through the usual questions. I asked him if he was moving his bowels alright when he abruptly got up and closed the door to the triage room. He said, "Well, that's sorta why I'm here." I nodded and said, "Okay, why are you here today?" He replied, "I have an object stuck in my rectum." I said, "I see, and what is it?" He flatly stated, "A wooden dowel." He spread his hands apart by about 18 inches and said, "It's this long," and then curled his fist into a circle about 3 inches in diameter and said, "It's this round." I nodded and he looked directly into my eyes and said, "You probably think this is some kind of perverted sexual thing, don't you?" In a deadpan voice I replied, "I don't think, sir, I only write." This is about 9 p.m. I asked him, "When did this object become lodged in you?" He said, "Yesterday around 3 p.m. The guy has spent over 24 hours trying to get this piece of lumber out of his butt." One of the triage questions was, "Who are you accompanied by?" When I asked him that, he said, "My brother." There are just some things you need to confide with your brother about. I was thinking to myself, had this been me, I would have driven to West Virginia, checked in under the name John Smith and paid in cash before I told my brother. Long story short, he needed to have surgery to remove the object. Moral of the story, if you're going to put something up your butt, use a lanyard so that you can retrieve it. We had one woman come back again, and her chief complaint was constipation. Going into her chart, I saw that she had been previously given some suppositories to take, and in the triage note she said her meds weren't working and she wanted some different ones. So the doc is asking her questions, making sure nothing else is wrong, and they get to the part about the meds. She says, "Well, yeah, the pills I got last time were huge. I have to break them in half to swallow them." And then we had to explain that suppositories are not meant to be eaten. And that was why her medication was not relieving her symptoms. She thought suppository was the name of the medication, like Tylenol is for acetaminophen. I still can't forget the doctor explaining to her how to actually use her medication. On your thumb and up the bum.
It was before I got into medical school. I was volunteering in the ER. I walked in one night, and a tech was scrubbing a guy with road rash down his arm, his body, and his leg. It looked really painful, and I asked the patient what happened. I was on my Harley, and I was being chased by the cops. I went around a corner, hit some gravel, and laid my bike down. I noticed a man's wife in the corner of the room roll her eyes. "How does that story sound?" he asked. "Sounds great," I said. "What really happened?" "I was on my scooter going downhill and I fell off." Stick with the first story. I don't work in the ER, but have been there many times. When I was having chest pains and they hooked me up to a EKG machine. I've had this done before. The doc was teaching a younger doc how to apply the electrodes. When they were done, the younger doc turned the machine on, and I convulsed like I got a shock. The younger one shrieked and panicked. Me and the older doc laughed our asses off. Good times until I learned I have a heart murmur. Like, comment, and share. Reddit Story Topper. Subscribe now.